This happened back when my son was 9 months old. He was sleeping in his own room that my husband had just completed upgrading, and we decided it was a good idea to keep a baby monitor in there so we would hear him when he wakes up from his naps or during the night. The monitor did not have video, it was strictly sound. Nothing odd happened for quite a while, but over time I noticed something was different. My son would normally wake up during the night and I would usually go into his room and comfort him, and then he would go back to sleep. This wasn't happening anymore. I would hear my son and give him a few minutes to try and settle, and it seemed that this process was working. I no longer needed to comfort him. This seemed to be the theme for the next week or so, but one night my son woke and was crying. I swear I could hear humming and shushing coming from his room, and then silence. My son was no longer crying. I rushed into his room and there was nothing suspicious. He was sleeping peacefully, nothing out of place. Everything was normal. One morning I was awake but resting, and my husband got up as he had to go to work. About 20 minutes later, I once again heard my son wake up. I heard him being attended to, and very quickly my son was making no noise. He must be peacefully sleeping again. Another 20 minutes later, I decided I would text my husband and thank him for sorting out our son before he went to work. His response is something that I'll never forget, and it will forever haunt me. He said, "I didn't sort him out this morning. He was still asleep when I left." My eyes widened. Adrenaline hit. What is happening in my son's room? I ran into his room and swung the door open. Thankfully, my son was in there, but he was no longer in his cot. He was on the floor. He has clearly had his nappy changed and is in a new outfit, plus was drinking from a freshly warm bottle. If my husband didn't do this, then who did? I quickly took the bottle from my son, picked him up, took him out of the house and called the police. The police arrived quickly and 2 officers went into the house to search. 10 minutes later they came out, but they weren't alone. With them, in handcuffs, was a woman, an old woman, could have been in her 60s. As the police took her into the back of the squad car, she was just staring at my son. Right before they put her in the car, she gave my son the scariest smile, which chilled me right to my core, something I will never forget. The police said that they had a look around the house and decided to look in my crawl space. Quickly, it became evident that someone was living there. It didn't take them long to find the old lady, and thankfully, she went with them peacefully. Fortunately, my son was okay. I contacted my husband and he came straight home, except with him, he had a new baby monitor, but this one had the video function. I now find myself hooked to looking at this monitor, terrified there may be someone in the room with my son.